The EU's big AI Act is, well, it's complicated. Its governance is this whole web of interconnected bodies, but today we're going to focus on one that almost didn't even exist, the Advisory Forum. We're going to unravel the mystery of why it was created, how it managed to survive, and what its real role is in shaping our future with AI. Now, before we dive in, it's really important to mention that this whole analysis was conducted under the scientific supervision of Professor Vihar Kiskinov, which ensures we're on solid academic ground here. All right, so first things first, let's get down to basics. What is this advisory forum, really? So, if you look at Article 67 of the AI Act, it lays it all out. It's an independent body designed to provide technical expertise and give advice to the big players, the AI Board and the European Commission. But here's the crucial part. It has to represent a balanced selection of stakeholders. Now think about that. This isn't just some suggestion box. No, it's the official designated channel for experts from all corners of society to directly influence how the AI Act actually works. But here's the thing. This forum almost didn't happen at all. Its very existence was the result of a huge disagreement, a real legislative tug-of-war over the fundamental philosophy of how to govern AI in Europe. And this whole fight really boils down to two completely different ways of thinking, two competing visions for governance. On one side, you had this idea of centralized, top-down control, and on the other, a really powerful argument for a more collaborative, bottom-up approach. So let's break this down. You can see the two camps right here. The Council, that's the one representing the EU member states, they were initially pushing for a top-down model. The idea was the European Commission would just issue all the guidelines to keep things uniform. Super efficient, right? A very controlled way of doing things. But then you have the European Parliament, and they were arguing for something totally different, a collaborative forum to get direct input from industry, from academia, and from civil society. Their goal wasn't just uniformity. It was about making sure the rules were legitimate and would actually work in the real world. So yeah, this was a classic battle, efficiency from the top versus wisdom from the ground up. And believe me, this clash wasn't just some abstract debates. Oh no, it played out in a pretty dramatic back and forth during the whole legislative process. Okay, so let's walk through what happened. Back in November 2022, the Council made a huge move. They actually proposed getting rid of the advisory forum completely, just gone. And for a while there, it really looked like the whole collaborative idea was dead in the water. But then, by January 2024, a compromise started to take shape, and the forum was put back on the table, kind of in a hybrid form. Fast forward to May 2024, when the final act was confirmed, and what do you know, the Parliament's vision had pretty much won out. The strong, collaborative advisory forum we have today was officially born. So the forum survived. It's a real thing. Which brings us to the next big question. Who exactly gets a seat at this very important table? The law is super clear on this. The membership has to be a balanced mix. It includes representatives from big industry, for sure, but it also makes a point to include startups and small to medium-sized businesses, SMEs. And this is so important, it mandates seats for civil society, like consumer protection groups, and for academics. The goal here is pretty obvious. They want to prevent a situation where only big corporate interests are calling the shots. Now, besides those rotating members, the forum has 5 permanent members, and they tell you a lot about the EU's priorities. You've got the Fundamental Rights Agency, which is there to make sure human rights are baked into every single technical conversation. Then there's ENISA, bringing that crucial cybersecurity expertise. And the inclusion of CEN, CENELEC, and ETSI, the big European standardization bodies, is absolutely key. Why? Because they're the ones who help translate these high-level legal ideas into concrete technical standards that companies can actually follow. Okay, so we know who's in the room. Now, what do they actually do? How does all this diverse expertise get turned into real, actual policy advice? The process is actually pretty straightforward. It all kicks off when the AI board or the commission has a specific problem, and they formally ask for advice. Then, the forum's members, all these different experts, they get to work. They discuss, they deliberate, they analyze the issue from every possible angle. Once they've done that, they issue their formal opinions and recommendations. And here's the payoff. That advice goes directly into the official guidelines and decisions that determine how the AI Act is put into practice. It's a straight line from expert discussion to official policy. So we've looked at the wild legislative ride it took to get here and how it's structured. But now we get to the real heart of it. Why does this one advisory body actually matter so much? Because its importance goes way beyond just being another piece of bureaucracy.
First off, and this is probably the most critical point, it guarantees a voice for civil society and for fundamental rights right at the center of AI governance. This structure makes sure that the conversation about AI is never just about tech and money. It will always include a focus on people and their rights. Second, it creates a really important system of checks and balances. Think about it. Instead of all the power to interpret the law just sitting with the EU Commission, this forum gives a diverse group of stakeholders a formal, influential role. It stops the whole thing from becoming a purely top-down regulatory system.
And finally, this forum really represents a modern way of thinking about regulation. It's a recognition that for a law as massive and complex as the AI Act to actually work, you can't just have a rigid set of top-down rules. It needs to be a living, breathing framework, one that's brought to life through constant collaboration and expert advice. The creation of the advisory forum was a huge win for collaborative governance, no doubt about it. But it leaves us with one final, absolutely critical question. As AI advances at an exponential rate, will this model of expert advice and stakeholder conversation, be powerful enough to steer this technology in a truly responsible direction? The answer to that question is probably going to define the success of the AI Act itself.